into, I think, a really cool thing and a really tough time. So glad to see you all. Welcome to our guests. I want to welcome Ed Moore and also thank him for showing us all up with the backdrop. The newest person here has the best backdrop and just schooled us all. So Ed, it's great to have you, and I'm looking forward to chat and get to know you here right now, as I'm sure many are. Adam Reeves, the head coach of the men's soccer team in his second season, Jenae Packard from the women's soccer team, and Emory Rapaport from the men's soccer team. And thanks to the PAF for providing this forum. I'm going to start this the way I started our basketball chat last week. And I just want to ask everybody how they're doing in this odd time. If you have any stories you want to share about this time, feel free, but I'll start with Coach Moore.
Man, this, like you said, strange times, but obviously trying to bunker in and make the most of it. It's been challenging for us coaches as well. I'm telling you, just not so much the getting creative part and kind of reaching out to the team and recruiting and all that. But for me personally, we have a 7-month-old boy, turned 7 months old today. So trying to juggle work in the home, trying to define boundaries and work time and, I've spent more time in the garage than I have at home or in the automobile, right? Adam, I was in the car the other day. So just trying to get creative with finding spots to get work done and reach out to everybody on the team, but stay safe as well and stay inside. So just trying to make it all work and navigate that as we all are. So
how about you, Coach Reeves?
Yeah, the next hour is a little bit of freedom for me, actually. I left the house to come to the office to present here today, strictly because it's, what you're going to get at the house with 3 kids. And
that's the fun of it, man. We'd love it if you had some crazy stuff happen at home.
Yeah. No, it's brought on some challenges, which I think we as a staff will take as a learning curve in regards to virtual meetings and new ways to present to the players and new ways to meet with the players. I think I've gotten less sleep in the past couple of weeks than normal season, which is very little sleep as well. Just with you're trying to homeschool your kids, you're trying to engage with your 3-year-old, you're trying to get work done, all the while chaos is going on around you. So it's been challenging, but I think at the same time we're looking at it from the positive side, and there will be a lot out of this that we can take away for the future as well.
Jenae?
So far it's actually been good. It's definitely different being home and being away from your team and your friends that you spend like every hour of every day with, but it's actually been kind of nice to be home and spend time with my family and just try to adjust to like the schedule of everything. But so far it's been good.
Are you in Brentwood?
I am, yeah. So pretty close. Yeah.
Cool. Emory, how about you? Are you here or are you in Portland?
I'm back in Portland. Yeah, it's a weird time. I wish I was in campus with my friends and teammates, but it's an opportunity to get better and work on your weaknesses and spend some quality time with your family. So I've enjoyed it so far.
How's the situation right now in Portland? I know Seattle was touch and go for a while, but how are they doing up in Portland?
It's not the worst up here, but it's definitely not a good situation. My mom works at a hospital. She's dealing with all of that right now.
Yeah, that's tough. My wife's doing the same thing, and what can you do? You try and get through it. And my best to everybody, of course, here tuning in. I've got a question to start for the coaches, and you might have kind of the same answer to this, but your seasons start in mid-August. What are you guys missing out on right now? Like, what would you be getting focused on as the calendar turns to April? And I'll start with Coach Reeves, since you're coming back for your second season. I know this is vastly different for Coach Moore, so I'll start with Coach Reeves.
Okay. Yeah, I would think Ed and I are probably in pretty similar situations. Being the time I came in July 1st last year, there was very little time to lay a foundation before the season got going. It was kind of I almost felt it was on the fly, on the run a lot of the time, trying to teach. Meanwhile, you're trying to prepare for game after game after game in the fall. So it wasn't the most seamless transition when I came in, but we were really looking forward to the spring. We did get some time with the guys. Unfortunately we didn't get to play any matches, which was unfortunate. I was really looking forward to playing our spring dates. We had 2 new additions to the program mid-year, which I thought would be tremendous, impactful players. So we're missing a lot of that. Again, looking at the positive, we've tried to stress to the guys, it's all about, you can focus on you now and you can improve on yourself from a physical component, a tactical component, technical, if they can get out with the ball and a wall, as well as an academic side of things. So we've really tried to stress that, and our message has been, if we can all improve by 5%, now when we come back together, the collectiveness of the group is going to be that much better. And we're trying to find new ways to develop the tactical side of things and get the message across, since we're losing so much time. The next time I'll probably have the group is, fingers crossed, mid-August. So it's a long time away from them, and a lot of time that you're consumed with what they're doing and how they're doing, and you can't really know. So,
Coach Moore, I know you were hired in January. What does this do for you? What kind of curveball does this throw you here, just a couple of months into your tenure?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that Adam touched on, I think for me it's slightly different, because obviously I've never even seen our group play in a match at all. So be it a spring match, fall match, obviously. So for me, the biggest thing that I feel like I'm going to be missing out on, there are a couple things. One is the actual match play. So it's all well and good to play 11v11, do an intra-squad scrimmage, or to do small-sided things, and you can learn a lot. So I'm not saying that I haven't learned a ton about this group already, but we all know as coaches that it's different when you're going up against your own team, when you get another opponent that you feel comfortable kicking, that you feel comfortable, that don't know your tendencies, that don't know your defense. So we did a defensive install all together as a team. We've done a bit of an attacking install as a team. And what happens is, obviously everyone knows what some of the tendencies, what some of the kind of runs and what people are looking to get. So I think it's interesting when you play yourself. So it's just, we all know it's different when you play someone else. So I think the biggest thing for me would be matches. So seeing what these ladies would do against a different opponent. And then for me, because I'm the new kid on the block, I'm just trying to get myself into the fold with a really awesome group of young ladies. And so for me, the more time that I can be in at the banter, to have those interactions, to have the players stop by the office and just kind of talk about their lab or whatever is goofy that's going on in their day, just missing some of those in-person opportunities to strengthen those relationships. The quicker that we can do that, there's no substitute for time and just those interactions. And so I think the technical side of things they're working on right now, we're like Adam said, we're doing the same. We're trying to give them some technical things to do, and we're able to track and to stay involved with that. The fitness side of things, those are all things. The lifting, Thorne's got them on a great program. So those are the things that I think everyone's going to go and do. I'm not worried so much about that, but in terms of what I feel like I'm missing out on are the interactions with the team, and then just evaluating them against opponents, so I can start to actually see when the rubber meets the road. Where do we start to stack up? And then obviously the game is the best teacher. So I can think that we're covering all this, that, and the other, but until we have the game, it's hard to then go back and know what we need to work on, to our areas we need to continue to work on. So.
Sure. I want to go to the student athletes here, and it's the same question for both, and I'll start with Emory. What are you guys doing to stay in shape? I know you can do so much by, being outside and running and cardio, but I know, me personally, I miss the weights, and it's sometimes tough to get to heavier weights and keep a lifting regimen. So what are you guys doing to stay in game shape? And again, I'll start with Emory.
Yeah, our strength and conditioning coach, Thor, gave us a really good packet. It's body weight stuff, so we don't need a lot of equipment. And then we've been just trying to do as much technical work as possible. Coach sent out a couple of videos just working on our technical abilities and just trying to make up for lost time. It's tough because you don't have your teammates to play and you don't have somebody to pass with or anything like that. But we all are just trying to make the best out of the situation.
Jenae?
Kind of same that Emory just touched on, but our Our strength coach has given us a packet of body weight exercises. Our coaching staff has given us a ton of like cardio activities, and they gave us this app that we're able to track all our technical drills and really like improve on that aspect of our game. So we have the tools that we need to get better individually during this time. I think it's just up to us to like stay accountable and keep working on that, which I believe our team will do a good job of that. And I think like Coach Ed talked about, like we're really just missing the games. I think that's the most fun part that we were really looking forward to in the spring, but just knowing that we're working towards that whenever we get the chance to play. So that's motivating us.
Cool. I want to get into the programs a little bit, and I'm going to start with Coach Moore since he's the newbie. You came from Boise State. You helped create a culture at Boise State. What elements of that culture would you like to see transfer over to Pacific now as you build this women's soccer program?
Well, I think the easiest answer is a winning mentality, is a winning culture. I mean, I think since being in the WCC, obviously it's been challenging. And I think that when I look back at my time on Boise State, they were perennially 500 or kind of fluctuated around plus a game or two, minus a game or two. And one thing that I'm very proud of, I mean, besides the results, and we had a lot of success there, but I think just that now sustained success. And we all know that it's one thing to have a season or two seasons, but how are we as coaches setting things up from a team culture perspective and from having an identity as a team to making that sustainable and to getting the right players that can come and can continue that tradition and sustain that. And it's about doing that not only from a team culture standpoint, but also on the field. Are you bringing the actual players that are quality enough, that are going to raise the bar each recruiting cycle each year? And that gets harder and harder to do as you have more and more success. But for me, I'm very excited about the opportunity to give a little bit of a fresh start, right? I mean, I think the players have that with me since I don't know, what was going on, or the players, didn't know them before coming to Pacific. I wasn't familiar with them. So I'm very excited to give these players a fresh start, and for us to start to step by step developing that winning mentality and that winning culture. It's as we all know as coaches, sometimes it can be a process, and it can sometimes take longer than we all want, of course. But I'm most excited to really dig into the team culture, because from my experience at Boise State, when we really started focusing on changing and improving and the activities that we did for the team and the team culture piece, then everything else started to kind of build on top of that. So I'm most excited and I think we've already kicked that off with this group. So I'm excited to continue to move that thing forward and continue to take the steps. And there's no substitute for time. It's just going to take a little bit by bit. So I'm excited to put that time in, and the ladies are doing a great job. They've bought in completely, but that's probably the biggest thing I would say.
Jenae, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What are your first impressions of Coach Moore?
So far,
he's faster than he looks.
No, so far it's been great. I think coming in from winter break, we had no idea what to expect, but he's exceeded our expectations, I'd say, and we're just really excited to have him here and work with him, and just thankful for what he's done and how we've already improved. I think we're just really excited to keep that going and keep learning from him and working together.
Coach Reeves, we're talking about culture building. We'll get into your program a little bit. Did you ever look back on how the men's soccer program was built so quickly by your predecessor, Ryan Jordan, and kind of use it as a case study for program building in general?
Yeah, I think obviously what Ryan did was amazing. There was obviously a lot of bumps in the road early on, and then he was able to figure out the formula here at Pacific, and he got the formula right for a few years during his time here, and so I looked at it a lot coming in at the beginning of my tenure. And I've tried to use pieces of it with myself, while still being true to myself and who I am and how we do things. So we have a specific method, we have a specific philosophy in how we want to accomplish our goals. And I need to stay true to that. And I think I was afforded this opportunity by the administration for those reasons. So I'm not going to change who I am, but I also it's important to understand how the program was built and how the program achieved success within 3 years or so.
Yeah, I certainly didn't ask in terms of, you changing anything that you
Sure.
do. I'm fascinated by culture building. I've said many times, like I've had a front row seat in watching Damon Stoudemire do it for the men's basketball team, just being at the practices. And, he's done it so quickly in a matter of a couple of years. And I know Coach Jordan kind of built a program in a couple of years from the ground up. Yeah. So just the observation of that in and of itself, I think kind of fascinates me. And I was excited to see you able to take over a program like that was built so quickly. And with that, I want to go to Emory and ask about what the culture is right now with the men's soccer program at Pacific and kind of the, just an overall feeling around the program now with Coach Reeves entering his second season.
Yeah, with Coach Reeves, we're definitely still building our culture, but we have the guys in place that I feel it's necessary to get back to the tournament and hopefully win the WCC, because that's our goal and that's what we strive for every day. So yeah, I think our culture is definitely heading in the right way, and I look forward to seeing where we can go as a team.
Emory, to stay with you, why did you end up choosing Pacific ultimately? I know you're a Portland native. Why Pacific?
I was actually recruited by Ryan Jordan, and one of the things that attracted me was the culture, and I wanted to go somewhere where there was great academics and also great soccer, and we play in a great conference too. So it's just all those things attracted me to this university.
I want to go back to Coach Moore, and you were a goalkeeper, so pardon my ignorance. I'm not completely familiar with the ins and outs of soccer X's and O's. Yeah. But is being a goalkeeper kind of like being a catcher in baseball as far as having an acumen for strategy and seeing the entire field from that perspective? Is that a proper analogy to make?
Yeah, that's a very good analogy for sure. And I think when you look at catchers, obviously, I think with goalkeepers, I think you have to know everything about the plan, right? I feel like certain positions you can kind of get your piece of the puzzle. And if you're a forward, I know what I need to do, and I just need to wait for everybody else to give me the ball so I could do my thing. And everybody kind of falls into that a little bit to a certain degree. And I think with goalkeepers, I think if you're trying to lead and if you're trying to instruct all of your teammates, all 10 other people on the field, then you have to know what they're supposed to be doing at any given time. So I think the catcher, just like they're responsible for shifting people around, knowing the count, knowing what, in this scenario, if there's a runner on the left side and it's hit here, and I don't pretend to know all about baseball or softball, but they're responsible for helping to disseminate that information. Same for a goalkeeper. I think if someone's not doing something, it's important for them to know what they're supposed to be doing and then how best to communicate that to the people in front of them. So I think it gives you definitely a unique perspective. Again, I think it's always funny. I get this a lot. I think people don't realize how many goalkeepers there are that are kind of assistant coaches that maybe aren't doing goalkeepers anymore. And then there are actually quite a few goalkeepers that are head coaches. It's probably something only goalkeepers look at, but yeah, no, it gives people a different perspective. And I think not only about how you look at the game and your knowledge, your content, but I think it's also a case study in how to communicate with people, because I don't know, Adam, about your group that you played with, but I couldn't speak to the right center back the same way I could speak to the left center back. I had one dude that on the right-hand side was an absolute head case and a mental midget. And then I had another dude who was rock solid on the left, and all you need to do was to tell him with urgency what needed to be done, and he did it. The other dude, you had to be like, okay, so is it like, that was a good job earlier, but now we need to, so I think trying to disseminate information, it was awesome in terms of my coaching career, because you have to find out each individual player, each individual staff member, how to communicate that and being kind of aware of 360. So for sure, I think it's important, but it's very similar to being a catcher for sure in baseball or softball.
Adam, can you speak to that? I know he had just mentioned your name. Can you speak to what he was talking about?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Zach?
Ed,
you talk so much, Ed.
I know. After 30 seconds, it's done.
Ed, you could probably do it better than I can with the X's and O's of it.
No, I was just saying, Adam, that I think obviously being a goalkeeper, and it lends itself a little bit to coaching, just because obviously how you speak to the different players. Like when I think back to my playing days, which is a long time ago, the way I spoke to certain players in certain situations was different. And so I feel that's important. I was just saying what we do, how we communicate the message to whom we're communicating it can change, because even though the message is the same, how you have to craft that message can vary between the people you're talking to.
Sure, I think he's spot on. That's the challenge of coaching is you cannot worry about yourself. You have to worry about the 20 some odd other members of your staff, and that just isn't the players. It's from the strength conditioning coach to the athletic trainer to your assistants. Everybody has their own personality, and especially the players. They're young. They're still coming into their own. They're trying to become comfortable as young adults, and some people have been raised in different backgrounds than others, and that affects them. And so the quicker you can understand who they are, where they've come from, what their personalities are like, what their triggers are, and that's the beauty of coaching, and that's the challenge of coaching. So can you get each of them to perform at their best by going down different routes? And every team has its challenges. And so he's 100% correct. You can talk to one star that completely different than the other star, and they might both be stars, but you have to approach them completely differently, or you have to speak to the 25th guy on the roster a little bit differently as well, to keep everybody engaged and everybody motivated, because you're only as good as your entire roster leads you.
Jenae, I want to ask about the women's soccer team right now, and in your mind, where it has the most potential to improve going into this coming season. What areas are there a great potential for this team?
Yeah, I think this spring it really showed us, with Coach Ed coming in, we kind of had a fresh start, and I think that gave a lot of people the opportunity to just come out and be competitive every day and really push each other to be better. So I think that's one thing that we're really working on. And then also just coming in, and Coach Ed kind of went back to the basics with us, trying to get us all on the same page, which I think has been a struggle in the past, and I think is something that we have a lot of potential for. If we as individuals and as a team really understand our role on the field and know what to expect from the players around us, I think we'll be able to play together as a unit a lot better and just be able to get more results that we're looking for.
I may or may not have mentioned that you'll be a junior coming into this season. What's this offseason been like for you personally with Coach Moore coming in? Obviously, there's a little shifting of gears, but what's it been like to go through it from your perspective?
Sorry, are you talking about the spring when we were there, or the time at home?
No, I mean just I guess this is kind of taking over the off season, but just kind of talking about maybe the month of February, because that's when you were still on campus and things were still kind of somewhat normal. Yeah.
So I think last spring season, that was my first spring season, and that was actually a really good experience because we were able to win some games and get some confidence. And it's also just the off season in general is a good time just to work on your individual skills and just grow as a team and get stronger, faster. And I think that was just elevated even more this spring, January, February, when we were at school, because we had this excitement to get started with Coach Ed and to really prove ourselves and get back on track to where we need to be to move into the fall and where we want to continue just growing. So I think, it was a great experience and we were super excited. There's definitely some days that's that are harder than others, and you might get a little tired or burnt out because it's still a lot in the off season. You're working hard every day, but just the energy that our team and Coach Ed brought, and just the just being around motivating each other, really, like, it was really good and exciting to be a part of. And so I think we're just excited to keep that going and hopefully bring it when we're able to get all back on campus together again.
I want to go back to Coach Reeves. You were at Cal Poly Pomona before Pacific, which is Division II powerhouse. I may or may not have asked you this at another venue when we've done these in person, but what are some of the major differences that you noticed going from Division II to Division I?
The overall level of the soccer player. There's no easy games. You know, there wasn't a game on our schedule that you can walk into knowing as long as we show up, we'll win the game. If you don't show up, you won't win the game. And that goes both ways. If the opponent doesn't show up, we're going to win the game. If we don't show up, we're going to lose the game. And so you have to bring it every single game. You have to be extremely consistent with your play. And it's challenging. It's challenging in such a condensed schedule when you're playing back to back. We played, I think, 6 games in 18 days to open the season. And that was with trying to be brand new and trying to lay the method and the philosophy for the guys. So that's the biggest difference is the overall level of the entire group. The CCAA, which was the conference that Pomona played in, was a very good conference, but there were 4 very good teams in it. Well, in the WCC, every team is very good, you know. And so you have to show up every day. From a soccer perspective, what we teach is very similar. You know, soccer's soccer. It's just the ability of the individual player. Can you recruit better player? So now you can take what you're trying to teach to maybe a little bit more in depth, a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. And so those are some of the differences.
As far as growing as a head coach, what did you learn last year that maybe you hadn't experienced before in terms of growth?
Yeah, I mean, to nobody's fault, it was a difficult situation with the timing of it all. Stuff happened at a different university that led to kind of the circle of coaching changes, you know. And so the difficulty was, how can I impress myself and my staff's philosophy and vision on a group quicker, and learning that being able to manage a group that had certain expectations on the field, off the field, in the locker room, in the classroom, when you travel, understanding that it's not going to be seamless, and having a little bit of leeway with how they are used to doing things. You know, I came in and there was a group of seniors that really had 3 months left in the program. And they've been doing certain things one way for 3.5 years. So getting them to change in that short amount of time after they've been used to doing it one way for so long was always going to be challenging. So learning how to kind of mesh everything together. I always say there's no right or wrong way. And so I found a way which we think can build success. And so ultimately over time, that culture, that philosophy will be laid here, but learning how to manage different expectations, I guess, within a group.
It's a good answer. Emory, I want to go to you. You're a defenseman, so goal scoring really isn't a top priority for you, but you scored your first collegiate goal on November 2nd versus San Diego. Take us through what that was like.
Yeah, that was great. That was definitely one of my top memories from my freshman year. Ryan Herr, one of their midfielders, it was a corner kick. He swung in the ball. One of our other guys headed it back, and I tapped it in. And my parents were there, so it was a special moment for me. So, yeah, and we won that game too, which was the best part.
What was your freshman year experience like as a whole?
Overall, it was very good. our season was pretty up and down, but I feel like as we kept playing games, we kept getting better. And I felt that way for myself personally. And I hope next year I take up a little bit more leadership role and we get farther and we hope make it back into the NCAA tournament.
I was just going to ask Bree. I know you just sent out a message, Bree. Obviously, the chat thing got hacked, and for that, we are so sorry. But I did want to get some questions. Do you have those, Bree?
I'm looking for them. I'll send them to you when I have them.
Okay. So we'll wait on those questions for Bree. And I just wanted to make sure that I, A, said that, and B, made sure that we got the questions teed up here as soon as we could. Coach Reeves, what are you most looking forward to going into year 2?
Yeah, just a little more steadiness to the group. The returning players, obviously we have the expectation of new players coming in, but this returning group, it will now be, besides 2 that came mid-year that only had 2 months with us, the rest of the group will have 15, 16 months together, and they have a good understanding of expectations within the program. And again, as I touched on before, it's on the field is obviously very important. We're soccer coaches for a reason. We want to get success on the field. But it goes for in the weight room, in the training room, in the locker room, how you conduct yourself in the hallways, with administration, with other student athletes, with your professors. So we've built that, and I think they've done a good job. The academic side was great. So the steadiness of the group, the consistency of the group, as Emory said, our season was up and down. And I don't think if somebody told me it was going to be perfect from day one coming in July 1st, I would have thought they were lying, because it was never going to be that way. We had some very good games, as Emory mentioned, the San Diego game. They came in, I think, tied for first in conference in that game. And I thought that was one of our best games of the year. And it was the most comfortable game we had on the year. We got on them early. We bossed the game. We dominated the game. And ultimately, what we got in that game was goals, which we lacked for most of the season. I think we got to the right areas of the field. We got to the final third, and we didn't put our chances away, and we got punished for it. So more consistency throughout the entire program, and I think it'll be seamless as everybody has extra time together. So I'm looking forward to it. We have a great schedule. We have 2 Pac-12 teams at home. We go on the road to another Pac-12 team, so it'll be a challenging schedule. The WCC is what it is. It's always going to be difficult, but that's the fun. That's the beauty of our sport.
Well, that leads into, I'm getting the questions now from our fans, so I'll stick with you, Coach Reeves. One of the questions is, what are the schedules looking like for the upcoming year? And I'll start with you, Coach, and then I'll go to Coach Moore.
Yeah, we don't take any big trips next year. We go to the Pacific Northwest, but as I mentioned, we have 2 perennial Pac-12 powers at home in Stanford and Cal, and then I think, as everybody knows, Stanford 3 previous years before this past one won 3 national championships in a row, so it'll be great to get them at home. We have Berkeley at home. We go on the road to Oregon State again. So we always want to challenge ourselves against the best. And for me, my philosophy, it doesn't matter who it is, where it is. I'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And with the group, with the returning group we have, I'm excited for it. Then we have the other NorCal local teams in San Jose State and Davis and Sac State. And, Davis won the Big West last year, so that'll be another challenging game. And then obviously the WCC games, which we go on the road to Gonzaga. We go down south to LA, I think, and then we're at USF, and the others will be at home. So we have 4 WCC games at home, which will be great, 3 on the road. And so you figure you have an advantage there as well in conference play.
How about you, Coach Moore?
In terms of schedule, so we were on a little bit of obviously Jenae alluded to this, as we're trying to build up the confidence. So we are not quite at the spot where we're going to be taking on Pac-12 out of conference. I think we need to make sure that we're building ourselves up. So for me, I think obviously we're trying to take on teams that will help us find out more about ourselves, that will challenge us, but we can be in, so we can make it, I'm trying to think what the analogy would be. I mean, you don't want to just jump in, for at least for the group where we are right now, to jump in and play the UCLAs, the Stanfords. I don't think that's going to tell us much about our team and our players. I think the games that we have scheduled are much more conducive to learning and much more conducive to testing ourselves and then finding out where we are, so that when we turn to conference, then we'll know a lot more about ourselves. We'll be a lot more prepared to take on what is, like Adam said, a fantastic conference schedule. And for us, I think we'll try to build as the season goes. So we'll go to California, we'll stay Pacific Northwest, we're going to stay in and around. But I think in terms for us, it's more the type of play and the level of the opponent for us will build and will grow us to where we need to be come conference time. And I think that's important. And obviously the WCC on the women's side is as strong as the men's. We have teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the country, top 15 in the country every year, just like on the men's side. And it'll be very, very challenging. And I think for us, it'll be about learning about ourselves first, and then making sure that we're making the adjustments to ourselves and learning as we go. And each week will give us a new lesson, win, lose, or draw. It'll teach us something. And if we can apply those lessons as we go, then by the time we get to conference, we should know a lot more about ourselves and about our players. So.
Question for the student athletes, and I'll start with Jenae. How has it been to switch to online learning on the fly to finish the year, the academic year?
Yeah, it's definitely been different. I mean, I would say the biggest challenge for me is just managing my schedule still, because at school, everything is laid out. It's either class, then practice, then like study hall basically. And at home, I'm trying to just stay on top of it. But I'd say the professors at Pacific have been really good at getting the information out to us and adjusting as we go, because they're learning the whole system too. But I think so far it's been good. Most of my classes, I still have one class that we're meeting like face-to-face, because our professor likes to have discussion and ask questions. So that's been good and engaging. And some other classes are the professors are posting pre-recorded lectures. So that's definitely an adjustment, but I think they're doing a good job at still being there to support us and help us. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Adam, we should try that. Just pre-record our team sessions and our pre-game talk. We just hit play. What do you think about that?
Good luck.
Emory, how about you with switching to online learning on the fly?
Yeah, it's not the best situation, but like Jenae said, the teachers have been really helpful, and we've been able to connect with them over Zoom. And I also have classes with pre-recorded lectures, and it's not the best, but they're definitely making it work. And yeah.
I want to start with Coach Reeves, because you have a year under your belt. There's a question that came in about how do you engage the soccer community in the Central Valley, especially given now, there might not be an opportunity to get out and do things ahead of the season. What are some of the creative ways you can engage the fans and the community to get ready for the upcoming season once you can do that?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of work with a local club, probably the biggest club here. Not a lot of work as we're still getting our feet settled, but we've done some work with one of the bigger clubs in the city here in Stockton, just to engage them and get out to their trainings and get them to our games and that sort of thing. So I think it's been very good. We were hoping to have a camp over the spring break of the elementary schools here, which obviously had to be canceled and that sort of thing. So offering different opportunities to get kids on campus. The Fresno area is an important area to me, the Valley. So we've done some work down there as well, just to get our faces out there and connect with people on a more personal level, because if you can connect on a personal level, obviously when when they might have a player for you and the university, they're going to want that player with you. So not only getting fans and people here, but also in the long run, the recruiting perspective as well.
Coach Moore, on to you, that same question about community engagement.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same things Adam is talking about. I think one thing that we were very active in California, in the Pacific Northwest, but in California specifically at Boise State at one time. I swear 50% of our roster at Boise State was over there was from California. So I think it's reintroducing myself, I guess. I mean, I have a lot of good contacts and connections, and there are a lot of good people. So it's just reaching out to them and really just kind of letting them know that I've made the switch, that I'm transitioned into the head coaching position here at Pacific. And a lot of them have just kind of reached out or come back to me and just been really pleased for myself and just excited about the opportunity at Pacific. And I think it's just now re-educating them as to everybody knows Pacific, and as Adam alluded to, the academic reputation that it has. Everybody knows about soccer, women's soccer in the WCC and that kind of reputation. So it's not like I'm having to go out and say, hey, here's Pacific and here's what we're about. Because I think in broad strokes, obviously Pacific is known across the country. I mean, it truly is, especially from the academic reputation and then obviously the WCC. But I think specific to that, I think it's really talking to the people that I've had connections with, specifically about my vision and how I'm trying to set things up as a new head coach with a new program. And so it's just really reaching out. We haven't had a chance to run any ID camps, but those hopefully will be coming in the summer when hopefully, knock on wood and fingers crossed, when we all can kind of get back out to a bit of return to normalcy. But so I think the ID camps are coming. I think right now it's reaching out on the phone. I got out a little bit before we were all kind of started to do the quarantining. So I was able actually to get to an event in Houston and some kind of somewhat local events in and around California with several clubs. So I've just scratched the surface and just barely. So more to come for sure. So it's just trying to get out there now, just get on the phone, social media, and really just trying to put the word out about Pacific and what's going on here.
Another question for both coaches, and since you're rolling, Coach Moore, I'll start with you first.
Always rolling. So Zach.
What areas could you identify where you could use additional support for your program? I know we have a lot of supporters and boosters that are part of this. So if you could identify an area or two, and then I'll ask Coach Reeves the same.
Well, I think for me as a coach, something I really believe in, and I know that our administration does. I know that Janet, the AD, and Holly, the associate AD, I mean, it really is, it sounds like lip service, but it's not. It are things that are going to enhance the student athlete experience. It's as simple as that. I mean, we wish that we could feed them all unlimited and we could just give them the nicest, but we obviously have a budget. So does everyone across the country. But for us, for me, what I would say is I would start with the locker room. We love to do some decaling. We love to give them a fueling station. So it's something that we're working on. We have some ideas already. My shout out to both my assistant coaches, our new assistant coaches, Denisha and JJ. Hopefully they're on this, but they've already come up with some good ideas about trying to make sure the athletes have a spot where they can fuel. So there are days when we go right from training to then go lift. And it's so mandatory that they come in and grab some type of fuel, some type of bite or a drink or something that's going to help fuel them, refuel them, and get them through the next workout. So we've got some ideas in the locker room about setting up like a fueling station where we can keep that stocked with, obviously healthy and nutritious snacks, things that will help them fuel their athletic performance. We want to decal the locker room. We went in there and we're very fortunate. They were nice enough to paint everything, and it's great. It gives us a nice blank slate, but we want to try to make it a little more, a little more vibrant for the student athletes, right? More logos, more power cats like the one behind me. And, we want them to, when we have a fantastic locker room. So there's no beef at all with that. We have a great space for our student athletes. We're just trying to find ways we can enhance it. So we have things like if you really want a wish list, Zach, I'm going to go ahead and give you the non-coaching answer. One thing I really want to get, and I've got the pricing. I'm already ready to go. So if there's a donor out there that's interested, we want to get a touch screen, like for a TV for our locker room, so that when we do our tactical talks, it's obviously can be very cumbersome to do it with apps that have to sync and connect and this. If we had a touch screen like they do on the TV, where we can drag and drop and telestrate a little bit, it'd be fantastic. And I think it helps, especially with kids in this generation, right? They're always on their apps. They're always on the iPhone. They're always trying to get it electronically, digitally. So I think we try to meet them where they are. And so we're trying to find a way where if we could make it look like an app, if they could drag it around. It's like when you call somebody the blackboard, right? Except it's totally different. We're going to call somebody to the telestrator, and then we can see, hey, no, you're not limited by anything. You can drag it, you can drop it, you can do whatever. Show us what you know. So some things like that. But obviously, it would involve food for the players. More gear is obviously awesome. Another training top, or I don't know, something like that. But yeah, anything that people can think of, it'd be fantastic. I can use all the help I can get, just in any way, shape, or form, or any ideas.
Hey, if ever there were a forum to ask, it is this one. So go ahead, Coach Reeves. What can Santa get you for Christmas this year?
Yeah, I'd second Ed. The locker room is very important to me. I think it's the player space. It's kind of like their sacred space. They spend a lot of time in there together. And when we came in, we did just what Ed was talking about. We have a small corner of it where they can fuel, get nutrition. Their lives are so crazy. They wake up, depend on their schedule, but the fall for us, they were in the locker room by 7 a.m. Maybe they didn't have time to stop by the cafeteria. Well, there's opportunities in the locker room to grab a bagel, grab some nuts, some cream cheese, some fruit, to get some fuel in their body before training, and then obviously after training, they may have weights, they may have rehab, they may have video, whatever it may be. It's probably pretty important to also get fuel in your body to start recovery. So we were able to do that, but it's such an important space for them and as well as for recruiting. So some enhancements to the locker room would be fantastic. I'm also very big on the video side of things. One opportunity this has allowed my staff during this time, this quarantine time or social distancing time, is to spend a lot of time on video. One thing that's become apparent is we need a better system to develop, to coach with our video system. So we've been looking at some different options, some conference calls with some different companies that can provide you with different video service that allows you to teach the big picture and the small picture a little bit better than what we had this past fall. So if I had to put my finger on a couple things, those would probably be it.
Hey, Zach, I've got two more to throw out just because everyone's got a range. Like, it's like Secret Santa, right? There's like the $1, the dollar store challenge, Secret Santa. And then there's a big one, the small one, micro fridge for us, big one. Adam, why not throw it out there? We need a stadium, right? We got the renderings. We got, I figure if all of us start with a few dollars, all 61 participants, I think we're going to be off to a good start. We're going to throw a little money in. We got a stadium project too.
I like it.
I love it. I love the way you guys think. Why not ask big, right? I have, for the student athletes, I have one more, and then we'll let you guys go. I just want to ask you guys what you feel, how much time you feel you'll need to get back into game shape once everything kind of gets going again. And I'll start with Jenae.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big thing to think about, because normally over summer you're playing with the summer team, you're training and conditioning on your own, but you're able to play some matches, because match fitness is definitely a whole different thing than just sprinting, and you can do as much cardio as you want on your own, but it's different than being in a game. So I think it's going to take some like preseason games, some like inter squad scrimmages to get back to where we need to be. But if we come in like as prepared as we can be, that's going to like help a lot getting back just ready for games, definitely.
Emory?
Yeah, that depends on what we do right now with all our time. I mean, if we do the right things right now, then we can hit the ground running once the preseason starts, and we'll get a few games under our belt before we start playing. And then hopefully we'll be ready to rock and roll. We play Stanford, our first home game. So that's a big game for us, and we have to be ready for that.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys for participating, the men's and women's soccer programs. Thank you all for being here and being interactive with us. Again, I want to, sincerely apologize for the chat being hacked. Obviously, it was a hack. It was nobody's fault except the hackers. So we apologize for that. Hopefully, it didn't deter from the experience. I thought that the coaches and the student athletes were phenomenal. We're going to do this again next Tuesday at 4. We'll let you guys know as soon as we find out who our guests will be, our coaches and student athletes. But men's and women's soccer, thank you guys so much. And I wish everybody good health, and please just stay safe and keep doing what you're doing and keep in touch with each other. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Thank you all for being on and the opportunity.
We'll see everybody out in the fall. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
And kitty cat. Emory's got a cat.